What up, everybody? We're here on this day of Saturday, this day that ends with Y. I try to, make this podcast, make this channel better every day that ends with Y. If you don't get the joke, every day ends with Y. That's the joke that I'm trying to get at. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great old night, or great old day. It's like, 2:42? This is going to be probably a quicker episode just because, I've got things to do today in about an hour. But, I've been busy this week, so we didn't get to do an Underground MMA show this week. My sincerest apologies on that one. I know there's some fans out there. Love you all. No, there's not. Anyway, but as I was saying, I know there's some fans out there for this show, and so we didn't get to actually go through with the show this week. But the one thing that I do want to just speak about, which is why I'm doing this episode right here on this Saturday, is just because we have a lot of stuff brewing in the company. There's fights getting booked. There's fights tonight. There's fights next weekend. And there's just a lot of stuff going on. And I feel like, there's a lot of stuff that I personally just want to talk about. So we're going to kind of jam it all in a quick little episode. And yeah, hope you guys like this one. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody had a great week. It's Saturday, like I said. We got fights tonight. Hope everybody had a great old week. It was a good week. It was a fun all week. We're back at the pizzeria. So that's always a good time. Shout out to all the homies there. Love you all. Shout out to, it's my main guy, Arnold Palmer, for the Arnold Palmer, too, while he's at it. Jeez. Oh, man, I think this stuff is good. Anyway, yeah, so, the reason you're out here is the obvious reason, everybody wants to hear what I got to say. So, I say we just dive right into it, man. Let's not waste any time today. I waste about 10 minutes every episode, but, I kind of got to get into it today. So we're just going to get straight into it. Today, December 12th, 2020, we've got the final pay-per-view of the year. The final pay-per-view of this weird 2020. This has been a strange year for the UFC. We obviously still have, one more card next week? It was almost a super stacked fight night. Now it's just a super stacked fight night. Like, it was super stacked. Now it's just stacked. And so, we've only got 2 cards left. This is the last pay-per-view of the year. And honestly, this is top to bottom one of the better cards they put together lately. Big fan of this card. It's finally a card where the people who don't pay for cards and can actually look at this one and be like, yeah, I'll pay for that card. This is a good card. The past 2 have been I don't really want to pay for that. We had last one, we had Figgy and Valentina headlining, and then the rest was just you got Mike Perry on a pay-per-view. Does anybody really want to pay for that? But this is one of those cards where it draws me in. It gets me super excited for what's in store for 2021. Ton of stuff's going on in 2021 already, dude. So if you guys don't know, the UFC, Dana White just announced that they're doing 3 fights in a week. My absolute favorite thing in the world. I love nothing more than when the UFC does this, because this just gives me an absolute love of the sport, and it just gets me absolutely fired up the entire week, because I know no matter how many days go by, I'm just patiently inching away. Excuse me. I'm just patiently inching away at getting more fights, and especially what the UFC's doing right now. No, when they did this earlier in the year, I think they had Anthony Smith and Glover Teixeira headline an okay Wednesday card. And I think that's what it was. Don't quote me on that. Don't feel like looking it up. But that wasn't, don't get me wrong. I love Wednesday fights. That was the first time we had live sports for a while. And for the UFC to do that, at the time, it was awesome. Looking back at what they did there and what they're doing right now, absolutely shatters every single thing they're doing. It's going back to Fight Island on January 16th. We've got Calvin Kattar versus Max Holloway, straight boxing match. If you like boxing, if you just like watching 2 dudes go at it for 25 minutes, because let's be honest, this is probably gonna go 25 minutes if I had to guess. And if you're a fan of boxing, you're a fan of watching 2 dudes in 4-ounce gloves just slug at it, man. There's no fight you want to see other than this one. This is, in my opinion, the best fight to make at 145, and I'm glad the UFC could get it done, because this is an absolute killer of a fight. People should be watching that one closely. Then January 20th, which is a Wednesday, we have Leon Edwards versus Hamza Shimayev. It's getting rebooked. It's supposed to be next week. Liam came down with the coronavirus, had to get pushed back. Got pushed back, a month and a day, and he's going to get back in there. He's going to step up and try and derail the type train. This is one of those fights where, a lot of the fans are excited about. No, it's crazy because Hamza, I ended up on his Instagram somehow yesterday. He already has 1 million followers, man. That man's got 1 million followers. In his UFC career, he's beat 2 newcomers and a journeyman whose total UFC record was like 7-13 or something. And just because he says smash, 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 we all think he's good. Leon Edwards is so good. I don't like the guy. I don't like Leon Edwards. I don't like either of these dudes. I don't want either of them to win. But, it just comes to a point where, I got to cheer for the one I hate the least. And at this point, it's Leon Edwards. I think Leon Edwards absolutely embarrasses him. Like, embarrasses him, dude. All that hype. All the hype around, this dude's the next big thing. Hamza Shimayev. He smashed. He's gonna be Izzy for the 185 belt. Get that out of here. Get it out of here. Out of here. He does not have what it takes. Now, and maybe towards down. No, I'm not a fool. I know he trains with Gustafsson. I know he knocks Gustafsson down. But there's people who knock Justin Gaethje down in sparring, and we don't see them getting all this treatment. And if you're fighting, anybody's got a fighting chance. I mean, hey, if Hamza goes out there and he knocks him out in 20 seconds like he did Gerald Meerschaert, I was wrong. I know nothing. Hype train is real. Give him a title shot, I guess. But besides that, I don't really know what to expect in that fight. But it's a Wednesday card, so you can't go wrong with it. Even if it's the worst Wednesday card of all time, it's a Wednesday card. It's a midweek fight. It's like Dana White's Contender Series on steroids. And don't get me wrong there, man. Sign me up any day of the week. And then January 23rd, we've got Conor Poirier. Do I even need to say anything? The biggest fight, unless Conor fights for a belt, fights Gaethje, fights Khabib, fights Diaz again in 2021 or 2021. Yeah, 2021. It's the biggest fight of the year. Like, if you ask somebody, what the biggest fight of 2020 was in this strange, odd year that we had for the UFC, their 3 answers are going to be Conor Cowboy, Khabib Gaethje, and what's the other one? Oh, and Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. Kamaru Usman versus Jorge Masvidal. 25 minutes of Kamaru Usman holding him up against the cage, stomping his foot. Sure, it was hype. Sure, it did a lot of buys. It's on Fight Island. You got 3 title fights. Okay, and all due respect in the world to Masvidal, I love the guy. Due respect in the world to Usman, I hate the guy. It was a stacked card. If Jorge Masvidal doesn't jump on that card does not do over 1 million buys. Not even close. Not even close. But, some people are just built different. Got a giant cut on my arm. That's awkward. Some people are just built different. Step in for fights like that. So Masvidal definitely, he's the reason that fight happened, or the reason that fight got so big. And I think that it's got to do with the card and the way Dana White hyped up Fight Island. And then, you have Khabib Gaethje. Khabib's supposed to be this, giant superstar. Justin's the most exciting fighter we've ever had in the company. It does, $700K? And then Khabib retires? I'm not saying it's the fight of the year, but the biggest fight of the year, Conor Cowboy. 100%. 100%. 110%. 100%. Not a doubt in my mind. But, hey, what do I know? It's something about Conor, man. Wherever he goes, greatness goes. Wherever he goes, all the fans go. And that's exactly what's happening. That's what happened, actually. Fans followed him. He's a superstar. He's going to prove it January 23rd. He's a superstar. It's going to get over 1 million buys. And he's going to starch Dustin in the first round. No respect, don't disrespect Dustin. I love you, Dustin. That's just what's going to happen. Yeah. Crazy times we live in, man. Crazy times we live in where we get to see these dudes compete. Crazy times. It's crazy to think, to me, December 12th, 2015, 5 years ago today. 5 years ago today is the day that I decided that I was going to take my talents to the world of mixed martial arts, a sport that for the first 13 years of my life I hated, and I thought it was boring and disgraceful. Hated watching it. Thought there was too many commercials. Thought that the fights were boring. They took too long. And now here I stand. I'm interviewing fighters on a weekly kind of ish sort of basis. Speaking of that, watch my 3 new interviews with we got UFC commentator analyst Brennan Fitzgerald. Let's hear it for Brennan. We have UFC lightweight fighting on the counter card, Matt the Steamroller Favola. Let's hear it for him. And the number 10 ranked lightweight in the world, in the entire world, Raging is straight out of Long Island, New York. We got Raging Al Iaquinta, number 10 ranked lightweight in the world. Everybody, let's just. Doesn't get much bigger than that. Does not get much bigger than that. Huge shout out to my boy Raging Al. Huge shout out to my boy Matt Favola. Huge shout out to my boy Brandon Fitzgerald for all hopping on the show. Meant a lot to me. Check those links in the bio. Watch that. If you're on my YouTube channel right now, it's literally like my last 3 videos, I think. Just check them, man. But anyway, now, it's 2:53, and, excuse me. And at this point, we're just going to get into the card tonight. It's one of those cards where as a fan, I look at the prelims, and I'm like, dude, this is a good card. Then I scroll up, and I get to the main card, I'm like, dude, this is a good card. In the prelim, in the early prelims, one that nobody cares about, we got Chase Hooper. You don't know who Chase Hooper is? Ben Askren Jr. He's 21 years old, dude? 21 years old, built like me, literal twig. I think he weighs up, what's he fight at, 155, something like that? But he's a beast, dude. He's a beast for no reason at all. And he's a fan favorite, too, because he's so young. People are like, dude, this dude's in the UFC at, 21 years old? And, what am I doing with my life? Big fan of Chase Hooper. Was not a big fan of his last fight when they put him against a 30-fight vet. The dude's got more fights than this dude has in ages on Earth. And he just absolutely goes out there and pieces him up. Like, okay, what do we expect? Let's build this Chase dude up, He's young. He's got a ways to go. He's on Dana White's Contender Series. Dana White loved him. I loved him. I love Chase Hooper. Build the guy up first. Give him a break. Then we get into the prelims, man. And the ESPN 2 prelims are stacked. To start off the night, we got Tecia Torres. If you start off a preliminary card with Tecia Torres, just watch out. Now, I'm not sure why this next fight got moved down from the main card, but we have Renato Moicano versus Rafael Afiziev. And that is a fight of the night card. Fight of the night fight. What am I saying? And if it's not for Tony Ferguson versus Charles Oliveira on this card, that is the fight of the night, in my opinion. Renato Moicano is 3 years or something like that out of fighting Korean Zombie. Renato Moicano is a legit person at 145. He doesn't get the respect he deserves sometimes, but he is a legit fighter. Let's just look at his past couple fights. All people get old, but this dude, he's always there. Always there. Let's see. So, here's him since 2017. Beat Jeremy Stevens. Okay. Lost Brian Ortega. Ortega was a beast. Beat Calvin Kattar. The dude beat Calvin Kattar. The second best boxer at 145. He beat that dude by unanimous decision. Choked out Cub Swanson. Lost to Aldo. This was back when Aldo was good. Give him a break. Lost to Aldo. Lost to Korean Zombie. And on the card, excuse me, and then on the card with the first card with no fans in Brazil, he beat Damir Hadzovic in 44 seconds via submission. This dude is dangerous, and the fact that he doesn't get the respect he deserves is kind of upsetting. This is a great fight too. I think Moicano comes out to win, but this is a brawl in itself. Watch out for this fight. Next, we got Billy Quarantillo, Dana White Contender Series alum. Love that guy. Gavin Tucker, love that guy. This is a good fight. Big fan of Billy Quarantillo. Big fan of the stash. Billy, if you're watching this, what up? Good luck tonight. Another banger, certified banger. And then headlining the prelims. One of my favorite dudes of all time. Just one of the straight nicest dude. Or I mean, I've never talked to him. I don't know if maybe he's not nice, but puts on a good persona of himself. One of the nicest dudes and one of the best fighters in the world. And he just seems like an all around great dude. He's got a family. No, he just seems like a good dude. Like a dude that we're like, you're like, yeah, like sure, I don't know much about fighting, but I don't know who he's fighting, and that guy looks cool. You can just tell by looking at Cub Swanson, like that guy's cool. Got some sick. He's got a sick back piece. Awesome fighter. One of the best 145ers of all time. Big fan of Cub Swanson. Fighting Daniel Pineda. Tough fight for Cub Swanson. Tough fight for Cub. And honestly, with all due respect to Cub Swanson, I love the guy. I would never talk down on Cub Swanson. One of my favorite fighters of all time. But if he loses this fight, I think he's done. I think he's done. It's no disrespect to the guy. Love the dude. It's just I don't know. It's tough because he's definitely not one of the top dudes, and they're probably paying him a decent amount of money. And with what the UFC's doing, which I'll get into in a minute, I don't see them keeping Cub around. He was on what a 4-fight win streak against he beat Hakran Diaz, Tatsuya Kawajiri, Duho Choi, one of the greatest fights of all time. You've never seen that fight, watch it. Beat Artem Lobov in a main event, which that's a main event. Dear God, oh my goodness, what in the world is happening? But then as soon as he gets to the top of the division, Brian Ortega in the main event. I remember that. Frankie Edgar, Renato Moicano, Shane Burgos loses them all, and they give him like Crone Gracie, who at that point he's just a name, and he beats Crone, which everybody was all hyped around Crone. Cub went out there and absolutely pieced him up. So if Cub loses this fight, he's lost 5 of his last 6, and the one dude he's beat is a dude who is he was hype. He was young. He has a huge name, and so they gave him the fight. If Crone's not fighting Cub Swanson after 5 or 6 professional fights, if he doesn't have the Gracie last name. So it was honestly a lose-lose situation for Cub. The only thing that won was an extra tally in his win column. Tough, but hey, what do I know? And then in the next fight, we got another dude who I think with what Dana White's doing right now, I think this is the end. At least if things go as they should tonight, I think that this is the end for JDS. Now if you don't know who Cyril Gane is, just think of like Francis Ngannou, but a little less muscular, but just as scary. And that's exactly what he looks like. Do not mess with... I remember watching him fight on the Korean Zombie Frankie Edgar fight, and I was like, and this is back when he's kind of like, when he's just like, he's got a little bit of hype, not hype, but he's got like some talk behind him, and then he goes out there and he just, he hits like a heavyweight, moves like a middleweight, or wait, I don't know why I said he hits like a heavyweight. He is a heavyweight. I hope he hit like a heavyweight. He hits like a heavyweight, obviously. Moves like a middleweight. He's fast. He's huge. The only way that he loses this fight is if he just gets outclassed. That's the only way he'll lose this fight, is if JDS just goes full class mode and just outclasses him. And that's really the only thing that can happen. Junior Dos Santos has been in this game for a long time. He's one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. And like all great things, all the greats wind down at some point. We've got Tom Brady this year, who's not looking very good. Is he one of the greats? Yeah. But, he's just at the end of his career. So, he's kind of starting to dwindle down. It's just things like that. I don't see Cyril Gane losing this fight. As soon as he wins this fight, he's propelled to contender. As soon as he wins. Like, in my opinion, he already is a contender because he's fighting JDS. But, at this point, the UFC's just using JDS in order to build Cyril Gane's name, and which it's working perfectly. Literally, this is the perfect thing that could happen for Cyril Gane and for the UFC, because now they have a new superstar who they don't have to pay a lot of money to, and once JDS loses, they're going to cut him, And then, boom, they just saved a ton of money, and they just got a new superstar. Next, we got, I'll get all of that in a minute. Next, we got Kevin Holland. Shout out to Kevin Holland, about to go 5-0. Going for 5-0. If he goes 5-0, he's the fighter of the year. I do not care. Do not care if Davison Figueiredo went 4-0 this year. It is between those two for fighter of the year. Kevin, if you go 5-0 in a year and you don't win fighter of the year, come on, man. That's just disrespectful at that point. Disrespectful. Kevin Holland is going out there and fighting one of the greatest middleweights of all time, Jacare Souza, in a fight that's the traditional striker versus grappler. And in my times of watching fights, I've learned that when it's a striker versus grappler, what are some fights? If you think of Conor Khabib, if you think of Justin Khabib, if you think of Daniel Cormier versus Derek Lewis, who won all those fights? The wrestler did. The wrestler won all those fights. And I think that Jacare Souza is not, I think that he will be able to take, because Jacare does look a little bit bigger than Kevin Holland. Maybe not, no, I know Kevin's got the reach, he's got the reach, but he's a skinnier middleweight. Jacare is a wide dude, and I feel like he's definitely going to walk in there 10 pounds heavier than Holland, if I could guess. I don't know. Not sure. Don't quote me on that. But if I could guess, that's what's going to happen. And I think, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I think that Jacare is going, I think this is going to be a boring fight. I think that it's going to be a boring fight. I hate saying that because I love Kevin Holland. I want to see him go 5-0 this year and accomplish that feat that he wants to set out for himself. But it's just a bad matchup for him. He was supposed to fight Jack Hermanson, who I feel like that was a much better matchup. But there's a lot of fights like this where it's a striker versus a grappler. Just last weekend itself, you had Marvin Vettori versus Jack Hermanson. And in that fight, Jack Hermanson tried to take him down, but that's a 5-round fight. And at that point, I feel like he kind of gassed. Didn't look too good. He couldn't get Vettori down, but Vettori's also a huge dude. Kevin Holland's not a huge dude. He's a big dude, don't get me wrong. But he's not a huge dude. And I think that Jacare is going to be able to take him down. And Jacare's got a chin and a half. Chin and a half. Animal. Crocodile. He's a little animal. Like, literally. Like, no pun intended. He's an animal. I think Kevin Holland loses this fight. I think Jacare wins a 30-27. Boring fight. What do I know? Guess we'll see. Next, we got Mackenzie Dern versus Virna Genderoba. I mean, this is on a main card. Mackenzie Dern's not, don't get me wrong. Mackenzie Dern's good, phenomenal fighter. Is she main card worthy? Not in my opinion yet. But she's working up there. And, and for Mackenzie Dern, this is a huge fight for her. Hopefully she goes out there and gets a win. Don't think she will. I personally think that she's a lot of hype. There's a lot of hype around her name. It's just like when Rachel Ostovich fights. Nobody wants to see her. Like, Rachel Ostovich isn't a good fighter. She's cut from the UFC now. But, people just watch her fight. So she gets on main cards. And what do I know? Skipping over, we have a potential fight of the year. Got a potential fight of the year in the co-main event. So one of those, Dana White's talking about adding 5-round co-main events to the UFC, which needs to happen, by the way. UFC executives, you listen to this, needs to happen. Make some co-main events 5 rounds. If they need to be 5 rounds, make them 5 rounds. This needs to be 5 rounds. This needs to be 5 rounds. There's a ton of other fights. There's no way you're putting Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal as a 5-round fight night main event. No way are you doing that. So, to compensate, because that's a 5-round fight. That fight needs to be 5 rounds. For you to compensate, make whatever co-main event you want to be 5 rounds. Only the good ones. If it's not the best co-main event, or if it doesn't need to be 5 rounds, don't make it 5 rounds. Don't. But if it needs to be, if it's Tony Ferguson versus Charles Oliveira, make it 5 rounds. If it's Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal as a co-main event, make it 5 rounds. Make the big fights 5 rounds. Simple as that. FIO, UFC, figure it out. This is a fight that I am super duper pumped for. This is a potential fight of the year. I do not like Tony Ferguson. If you listen to this show, I've probably talked so much trash about him. I do not like the guy. Do I respect his 12-fight win streak? Yeah, duh, of course. You win 12 fights in a row. I don't care if you fought 12 people who are this tall. You won 12 fights in a row. Congrats, bro. Tony Ferguson's one of the best lightweights of all time. But, the thing that worries me is, that was what, in May? He fought Justin Gaethje for 24 minutes and got absolutely pieced up. Pieced up by Justin Gaethje. Now, don't get me wrong. Justin Gaethje, one of the greatest, probably, in my humble opinion, the fourth best lightweight in the division, and that's saying, and like that doesn't sound good, but dude, is that kid good. And with his new striking, shout out to Trevor Whitman, love that guy. You know, he lost it to Justin Gaethje, but I mean that you can't be mad at that. But he's coming back 7 months later and fighting a dude who, with all due respect, he's not as dangerous as Justin Gaethje on the feet. There's not many people who are, but Charles Oliveira matches all of Tony's attributes. If Tony takes his fight to the ground, Charles Oliveira can get hit you with a submission from anywhere. If Charles Oliveira takes his to the ground, Tony can hit you with a submission out of anywhere. I think that this is going to be a strictly stand-up fight. And with that, I'm not sure if Tony Ferguson is going to be able to take as much damage as he did. No, we see that with a lot of people. No, like these big fighters will lose one fight or get in a war and lose, and after that they're just done. Like, for example, we'll take Conor versus Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo hadn't lost in 10 years. He was the greatest 145er of all time. Not a doubt in anybody's mind. Conor started him in 13 seconds, never been the same. Never, ever, ever. If you're telling me, if he never fought Conor, he would still be the 145 champ. He does not lose to Max Holloway. As soon as he lost to Conor, as soon as he went and fought Holloway for that belt, or wait, I'm a fool. I do not know what I'm saying. Jeez. Excuse me. As soon as Conor vacated that belt, wait, hang on. Now I'm feeling silly. But all I'm saying, geez, I am a fool. I am a fool and a half. My apologies. Anyway, as soon as Conor vacates that belt, you have Max Holloway who steps up, takes the belt, and then he fights Aldo. Aldo doesn't get it. And blah blah blah. All this stuff happens. If Jose Aldo does not lose to Conor McGregor, he's still the 145 champ today. You're telling me he doesn't beat Volkanovski in his prime? Conor took him out of his prime. Conor took Jose Aldo, put him out of his prime. Boom. And that's what I think is going to happen with Tony Ferguson. I think that Justin Gaethje took him out of his prime. Justin Gaethje killed him, both mentally and physically. He will never be able to take that much damage. His longevity went down a ton. But the thing that works good for Tony Ferguson in this fight is Charles Oliveira is not. No, he's not a Justin Gaethje. He's not a Michael Chandler. He's not a Dustin Poirier. He's not a Conor. Charles Oliveira is great on the feet. But the rest of the dudes are phenomenal on the feet. All those dudes can go to war. I don't know if I've never been able to see if Charles Oliveira can go to war yet. I've never seen if he can go to war yet. This is the ultimate challenge for Charles Oliveira. If Charles Oliveira can go out there and beat Tony Ferguson, then he can go out there and he can fight Michael Chandler. He can fight Justin Gaethje. Because I think what's going to happen with lightweight, no matter what you want to talk about, what's going to happen with lightweight next is you have this fight. And this fight determines everything. This fight determines everything. This is a crossroads fight for Tony Ferguson. In all honesty, crossroads fight for Tony Ferguson. He loses this fight, he's done. He's done. Right now, he is at a 4-way stop, and it's either straight, which is just straight to the title, or he can go the other 2 ways, which are retirement or fighting whoever, who cares. And pretty soon, Tony Ferguson's going to turn into a dude who people are just putting their names out there. Young dudes are coming up. They want to fight Tony Ferguson because he's an easy win at his age, and he can go out there. They can go out there and they can win in a fight, and they can be like, "I beat Tony Ferguson." I want a big fight. This is the biggest fight for Tony Ferguson. Because if he loses, he's done. If he loses to Charles Oliveira, who's he going to fight next? Not Michael Chandler. Not Justin Gaethje. Not Conor McGregor. Not Dustin Poirier. Next for him, if he loses this fight, is Paul Felder. I don't know. Maybe Islam Makhachev. Maybe Drew Dober. Who knows? Who knows at this point? At this point, there's so many things that could happen. That's why this fight's so big for the division. If Charles Oliveira wins this fight, he's the number 2 contender. I think what needs to happen with lightweight next, you've got Conor Poirier. Put Justin Gaethje in the cage with Michael Chandler. Dear God, make that fight happen, please. And the winners of those two fight. And Charles Oliveira can fight either the loser. Simple as that. Simple as that. Make it happen, UFC. Make something happen out of that division. Phenomenal division. Main event, we got Davison Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno. 3 weeks out for each of them of their fights. Davison made weight easy. Shout out to Davison Figueiredo. He figured it out after missing weight that one time. Real professional. Shout out to Davison. No way he loses this fight. No way it goes more than 7 minutes. Give it 7 minutes. Davison Figueiredo is a beast. That dude's unstoppable, man. There's no flyweight who is going to get close to beating him. We had Alex Perez go out there, and with all due respect to Alex Perez, he had no shot. No shot whatsoever. No shot. Not a chance. Not a chance. And so now we expect Now we expect Brandon Moreno to go out there, who's a lesser Alex Perez, and go out there. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Brandon Moreno. Ever since he was the number 16 seed on The Ultimate Fighter, I've been a huge fan of the dude just because of his underdog story. And to see him fight for the title after, I don't even think he won a fight on The Ultimate Fighter. For being honest, he was a 16 seed. I think he had to fight Tim Elliott and got pieced up. Then I remember he got got the call up to the UFC for a fight. And I was like, hey, that dude was on The Ultimate Fighter, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes out. Then he goes out there and he gets a first-round knockout. I was like, dude, what? Wasn't this dude 16 seed? I was so happy for the guy. Now he's fighting for a title. He's one of the best flyweights in the world. Good for him. But with all due respect to the dude, Davison Figueiredo is not a flyweight. This is a bantamweight. Maybe if you wanted to put on some pounds of featherweight going out there, man. He's not touching this. He's not touching him. Not even close. Davison Figueiredo is going to have an absolute field day with this guy. I say that in the most respectful way. He's going to have a field day with him. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. That's all I have to say. Nobody's beating Davison Figueiredo at 125. He's not losing until he goes up to 35 and fights TJ Dillashaw, or he fights Cody Garbrandt, or he fights Petr Yan. He's not losing. Straight up. No way. Another thing I want to touch on, that's all we got for this card. Good card, top to bottom. Thank you, UFC, for putting this on. Getting a good card to round out this strange year. Another thing I want to touch on is the cuts the UFC is doing. If you guys don't know, Yoel Romero got cut earlier in the week, and followed by Rachel Ostovich, followed by Matt Wyman. UFC's now I know they do this all the time. They cut people. It's part of the game. All due respect, but it seems like this time Dana White's really gonna cut some people. Like really gonna cut some people. Some people. He just let go of Yoel Romero, which I was perfectly fine with. Never been a big Yoel Romero fan. He's 1-4 his last 5. One of the worst title fights of all time. Was it all his fault? No. Was it somewhat his fault? Yeah. So in that case, I don't think that. Yeah. So in that case, I think that this was a good move by the UFC. He was never gonna fight for a belt again, and at this point, he was just holding up all the young dudes trying to get title shots in the division. He's got Marvin Vettori coming up in the division, and him just being there kind of took away from, him being there in the division kind of took away from just the idea of, all these young dudes getting their title shots. Dana White cut Rich Ostovich, coming, 3 losses in a row, not a good fighter at all. Cut Matt Wyman, 3 losses in a row. It was a great story, great comeback story, but, hey, things happen, bro. Things happen, man. Next, Next, there's so many possibilities. I think that one person 100% being cut is OSP. He's gone. Jamal Hill. Shout out to Jamal Hill, a Michigan represent. Absolutely pieced him up. And he's just not the same anymore. He's gone. If Junior Dos Santos loses tonight, he's gone. Cub Swanson, he loses tonight. Love the guy. He's gone. Cowboy should be shaking in his cowboy boots, buddy. I don't want to see him go. Nobody wants to see him go, but yeah, I don't see the UFC not letting him go. Anthony Pettis, geez, it's so hard to say that. It's so hard to say these legends are, going to get cut. Like, they're not good enough. But they're good enough. It's just what the UFC's doing is they're trying to, get names. UFC doesn't want to have to pay all these top dudes. They're paying Cowboy all this money. They're paying Pettis all this money just because of their names. When really, there's a ton of younger fighters who are coming up and at it, and they're 10 times better at this stage in their career. I'm not saying that the fighters that they're signing over these dudes are better than them at the peak of their careers, but these young 20, 24, 25-year-olds who are just vying for a spot in the company, who are doing anything and absolutely everything to get to the top, are a lot better than just these legends who are just filling up cards. And the UFC's paying, all these top dudes. Like Junior Dos Santos is probably going to make $300,000 from this fight, win or lose. Whereas he's got, he has Billy Quarantillo versus Gavin Tucker, who are honestly probably going to make maybe a 30-30 contract. Maybe, if they're lucky. So at this rate, he's paying $90,000 for a phenomenal fight for two dudes, or he's paying one dude who's past his prime, never touching a belt again, to fill a card and pay him a ton of money. Like, Junior Dos Santos is just, all right, yeah, I guess I'll go out there and get absolutely pieced up by this monster, Cyril Gagné. Excuse me. Dana White's like, all right, I guess I'll pay you $300,000 to get pieced up by this dude so that I can cut you and I'll never have to pay you again. He's just buying out these fighters. OSP, watch out. Cowboy, watch out. Anthony Pettis, watch out. JDS, watch out. Can't think of any more off the top of my head. Can't think of any more. But, we had some good Bellator fights Thursday. McFarlane lost her title. Kind of disappointing. Always been a fan of hers. Disappointing to see her lose. And we got AJ and then Joshua fighting today. That'll be a good fight. I mean, he's fighting, I don't even know the dude's name. Pulev, something like that. Anthony Joshua's going to win. Boxing sucks. Floyd Mayweather's fighting Logan Paul. Get that out of here. Oh my God, so disrespectful, so disgraceful. But whatever. Shout out to Floyd Mayweather for making that cash and not getting hit in the face anymore. Dude's a businessman. That's what businessmen do most. Make good business decisions. And that's what Floyd Mayweather does. I guess. No, he already has a legacy, man. He's the greatest boxer of all time. 100%. 100%. And now that he's past his prime, he already has a legacy. He doesn't need to, he's not building on his legacy by beating Logan Paul, who's never won a boxing fight. But he's like, hey, I ain't building on my legacy, but hey, I can go out there and I can say I'm 51-0. I can say I beat this dude. Who cares? I'm going to make $200 million from this. Probably even more. Probably more than $200 million. $200 million at the very minimum. Go out there and absolutely just toy with this dude. Just have a good old time. Disrespectful to the community, but what do I know? Everybody, enjoy the fights tonight. Keep each other safe. Be nice to each other. That's another thing. Just be nice to each other, man. People are so mean these days. Just be nice to each other. Be a good person. Just wake up and look yourself in the mirror and be like, you're going to be a good person today. Be nice to people. Everybody have a great night. Enjoy the fights tonight. We've got some stuff brewing. Got a new podcast coming up Tuesday. Potentially 2 podcasts coming up Tuesday. Doing an Underground MMA show Monday. Or do I have time Monday? Probably, yeah. Do an Underground MMA show Monday. Bang, bang. That's all the time we got for today. Take care of each other. Enjoy the fights tonight. And sleep tight.